On the Eastern Front of World War II, where snow, mud, and relentless combat defined daily life, Soviet soldiers carried a rifle that stood apart from the typical bolt-action arms of the era. The Soviet SVT-40 was Fyodor Tokarov's answer to the Red Army's need for a modern self-loading battle rifle. It was intended to put Soviet infantry on par with or ahead of their Western counterparts, much like America's M1 Garand. Lighter and faster firing than the Mosin-Nagant, the SVT-40 represented a bold attempt to modernize an army still equipped with 19th century weaponry. The realities of mass mobilization, harsh conditions, and shifting priorities would complicate that vision. The Soviets weren't the only ones to use the SVT-40. Oftentimes in warfare, your plans don't go exactly how you want them to, and the enemy can stumble across your armament. And that's exactly what happened on the Eastern Front. Many German troops would come across the SVT-40, and many German troops would even implement the SVT-40 against its host nation. For German troops who captured them, the SVT-40 was more than just a trophy. It was a prized weapon, coveted for its advanced design and firepower. On this episode of Administrative Results, we dive into the SVT-40.
One shot left. Oh, just kidding. Kommen Sie! Kommen Sie schnell! I think I got him. Oh! For sure got him that time. That darn Ruski. It's 1941. Operation Barbarossa. You've just invaded Russia as a sauerkraut boy. Things are going well. You've captured large stockpiles of Soviet weapons. You notice there's a semi-automatic gun called the SVT-40. Holds more ammo than your K98K and shoots a little bit faster. Do you pick it up and use it against its own creators? Probably. I mean, I would. If that was the only option. If it was between a bolt action and this thing, I'd probably pick it. Semi-automatic battle rifles. They aren't necessarily the newest tech to World War II, but they aren't necessarily super widespread yet. Most of the militaries, you think of the big ones, Britain, Russia, Germany, Japan, a lot of those cats, their general infantry are running bolt-action rifles. Tried and true, reliable, simple, hard for some bum from the middle of nowhere to mess up. But there's also another option, a different path, the semi-automatic path, the golden path. America knew, and the Russians were trying to know. So I guess so were the Germans. I think the Japanese even tried, but they just couldn't pull it off. So I mean, there really are the big three. The M1 Garand, the Gewehr 43, and the SVT-40. Just like hell let loose. I think I got their commander. I for sure got the commander. He was wearing something funny. Didn't look like a regular infantryman. Yeah, I'll get you a new outpost, okay? Get on my level. Don't look down on me. Sorry. One thing that becomes very apparent about the gun is its recoil impulse is rather aggressive, I will say. When I think of guns like the M1 Garand, that has a much more smooth recoil impulse, it feels like. With a gas system setting of 1.3 right now, it feels rather like you're getting a lot of recoil from that 7.62x54R. It's not like crazy where you're like, whoa, but it's definitely enough to where it's like, okay, may have to resettle for that second follow-up shot after you get the drop on the enemy commander's garrison, once you're camping it. So if you're trying to do rapid fire on those guys that just spawned, you better resettle. Get that shot, be steady. Well, Now, quickly, gentlemen, I want to give a big thank you to the sponsors of this video. Americana Pipe Dream Apparel is actually where I got this frog skin camo that I'm wearing right now. Fantastic young Zoomers getting after it in the milsurf space and arena. I don't know if they have any frog skin in stock right now, and if they don't, well, Logan, get on it, pal. They, of course, have a plethora of other things besides milsurp clothing and equipment. They have night vision, knives, manuals, e-bikes, a whole slew of very fun and cool things. I'd encourage you to go check them out. We also have to give a big thank you to Optics Planet, the optics sponsor of the channel. Sadly, we don't have any optics for this video, but typically we do. They have a bunch of cool things going on over there. They got some AGM thermals. I'm a big fan of those thermals. I like them a lot and encourage you to go check them out. Can't link them, but I appreciate them greatly. Of course, we also have to give a big thank you to Badlands, Munitions, the ammo sponsor of the channel, local Arizona company. I shoot with them, and of course they make quality ammo, and I appreciate that greatly. They're currently working on some pretty sick 7.62x51 SBR optimized ammo. Fellas, we call that a dub in the chat. They don't just have that stuff, but of course a plethora of other ammo that you can use that you will get a good quality training session out of. Big thank you to the sponsors for helping keep the lights on. Back to the SVT-40, baby. Now, with most weapons technology, there are some weapons development that go into it before you get to the final product. And that is true to be said about the SVT-40. There were some initial mock-ups.
In the 1930s, the Soviet Army sought to replace the Mosin-Nagant with a modern, semi-auto rifle. Fyodor Tokharov's SVT-38 was adopted in 1938. Great guess. But its combat debut in the Winter War revealed serious flaws. It was long, unreliable, and hard to maintain.
That's what she said!
Tokharov then improved the design, creating the SVT-40. Lighter, more durable, and easier to produce. It features stronger stock, better magazine catch, and a muzzle brake. Introduced in mid-1940, the SVT-40 was intended to become a standard issue rifle, with plans for widespread adoption across Soviet rifle divisions.
Now, of course, one very interesting aspect about this gun is the historical cross-pollination of armament. As someone that has gone down the interest in World War II, I still don't really know how to smoke meat that well.
Smoking these meats.
As I look down the barrel of 30 and approach it rapidly, is one of those topics that I thoroughly enjoy going over. Chances are, if you're a dude and you watch this channel, you have some fondness and or autism about World War II. Hell, some of you, maybe if you're the fat electrician, you come across this, you made your entire career talking about World War II. Hi, Nick, how you doing, man? And so it is a topic beloved by many. And there's a lot of things that happen in that conflict that one can just spend maybe years of their life dissecting. Now, I'm not that smart, so we're gonna look at kind of like one little instance / one little thing in factoid that kind of happened, and that would be German troops getting their hands on the SVT-40, and it's kind of like a little fun sidebar for this video. Do I look cool? Mm-hmm. Sick, dude. Now, you may be wondering, hey admin, you're running a Russian SVT-40, but you're wearing this World War II German kit. What gives, pal? You some sort of German simp? Well, buddy, not really. I nominate myself for Best Dressed, March 2025. I'm big, my clothes fit good. I got Kanye West liking my shit. I'll tag him down below. The drip does go mad crazy if we're being honest with ourselves and doing a hard reflection. But there's actually a few reasons. One is I didn't feel like buying a Russian uniform. This German one was pretty expensive, so I'm getting my mileage. Another reason is that during World War II, a lot of Germans actually did use the SVT-40. They thought fondly of it and they would carry it themselves. They actually had their own designation for it too, in true German fashion. A designation which I can't remember right now. It's like Slebslaughter 922R or some shit like that. Huh? If it's Slebslaughter 922R, I'm gonna go crazy. But there's actually a bunch of photos and even propaganda footage, I'd wager, of Germans on the Eastern Front with the SVT-40. Fun fact on these boots, these are like the SS boots or whatever they are. They got the hobnails. Hit them with it, hit it. Get the tippy tappies. Do some sort of Wiener Schnitzel tat dance jig. It's springtime for Hitler and Germany. Look, it's springtime. So we have this thing happening, right? Germans capturing large stockpiles of Soviet weapons during World War II. They're bound to come across the things that they like, the things they don't. Guarantee you they're looking at the Mosin-Nagant being like, nah, I'm good, big dog. Looking at probably the DP-28 or the pizza pan gun, thinking like, nah, we got some pretty sick universal machine guns. I'm good, big dog. But they probably come across the PPSH-41, PPSH-43, and the SVT-40 and really think, yo, these Bolsheviks be cooking. They'd be making some delicious small arms on these bad boys. Because to be fair, those guns are pretty dang good. They like those guns enough, like the PPSH-41 and the SVT-40, they would take those guns, in the instance of the PPSH-41, rechamber those for 9mm, or give them new designators, like the SVT-40 and the PPSH-41 in a funny German name. They liked them that much and they would use them on the Eastern Front. I think that's a really interesting part because it's like you're coming across your enemy's technology, say your weapons aren't giving you the edge that you want, you can snag their guns and use them in your fight and hopefully get the edge that you so desire. Now, one thing that I like to do in my free time when I'm not in front of you guys while you're taking a dump on the toilet or eating food or maybe doing all those things at once. Maybe drinking some coffee, eating some beer. I don't know, whatever you do in your free time while you watch this. What I like to do is play a lot of Hell Let Loose. And in that game, there is the SVT-40 used by the Russians. Now, sadly, in that game, you can't go and pick up enemy weapons, which I think would be kind of fun, or if there was unlocks where if you're on that campaign theater, you can unlock in your class system, say the enemy weapons. I think that would be kind of interesting. But Hell Let Loose hasn't reached out to me to be a game dev, so go like spam their email or something, because I also want Iwo Jima, because Squad 44 has it, but Hell Let Loose doesn't have. SVT-40, where was I? Anyway, Hell Let Loose. One interesting thing in Hell Let Loose, if you play the game enough, you'll actually pick up the report of enemy weapons. You can identify them by the sound. And I'm just a dude playing a video game and my life's not in danger. I would assume that if you were a German or a Russian on the Eastern Front and your life depended on it, you would probably get very good at identifying those sounds. So let's have Colton sit down there with a camera and a mic and see what it sounds like. You down for that, big dog?
Wait, what?
Perfect. All right, you ready?
Ready, go ahead and shoot!
Wow, that Colton guy's so, wait, what are you doing here if you're filming?
What?
I thought you were down there. Who are you? All right, I'm gonna schwack your camera, Colton. Check out the results. The audio results. Oh! So of course, with the sound tech that we have here, just playing through the camera, it's not super great. So probably when we watch it back, we'll get a better like, okay, you can hear it. Now I want to compare it against the K45 or the Gewehr 43 and an M1 Garand. So of course we're shooting the K43 right here, which is the designator for it at that point in the war, or as how we all mostly know it as a G43. Now this one has a shooter's kit in it, which if you have one of these, highly encourage you to get one if you're gonna abuse it and run it hard. These things are known to kind of break themselves apart, but let's see what it sounds like. Also, this feels way more appropriate given the kit. So we're shooting right past this camera. You can see big dirt impact berm right there. And I feel like listening to the K43, there is a distinct sound difference. I think what we're gonna do when Colton's editing this, I'll probably come over and listen again to see what it sounds like. But what I feel like though is that if you're on the front, fighting day in and day out, you would absolutely pick up an intuition to what the report of different guns are. Maybe a little bit tricky when they're shooting directly. I mean, if someone's shooting at you, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's not our friends, unless, you know, your friends think you're the bad guys, which happens in war. Friendly fire is not friendly, which would suck. Do all that training, all that marching, just get schwacked by your own buddy. War's a heck. Hey, Colty, you got any smokes? Any Luckies? All I got are these rationed Zens, pal.
We will keep the planes flying.
Now, as promised, the M1 Garand from about, I'd guess, 80-ish yards. God, I love that sound.
I know a sound that all men love.
Ooh! So I'm curious to see the report of the M1 Garand while taking more direct fire at a little bit of a slight distance. Dude, in Hell Let Loose, I feel so bad for my character that constantly runs around with like hunched over, just absolutely cooking their lower back. Oh God, oh God, oh God, they got artillery, oh God. Guys, I'm going to AFK real quick. Hey, what's up, baby? Well, no, match is about another hour. You know what? Can I just, the guys are counting on me. Can I just finish this match? Mom. All right, now that we're in the studio, I can get a little bit of a better idea of the audio we're working with as opposed to off a camera body of a Sony. Maybe we'll even compare it a little bit to some Hell Let Loose shots. We'll be over, we're coming over, and we won't come back till it's over there. All right, that was the SVT-40. Pretty distinct soundscape, and that's the G43. Oh yeah, I mean, when you compare the SVT-40 to the G43, there's a much more like, yeah, you can really hear the difference. I feel like you would pick that up unless you're dead. All right, M1 Garand. They all have a very distinct, like, at first it's like they all kind of have that, like, but I feel like the more you listen to them, they have that distinct sound to them. And of course, I'm gonna have Colton stack them all next to, like, I want Colton to stack them all next to the held let loose sounds from each of the guns. So it'd be like in succession, so we have a better way to hear it. They kind of blend together. I think you would really develop an ear for it though, based on those reports. I mean, depending on what theater you're in, you only have to worry about 2 of those guns. It's like you either have to worry about someone having a Gewehr 43 or someone having an SVT-40 or someone having an M1 Garand and then someone having a Gewehr 43. Unless SVT-40s were going against M1 Garands at some point, like, which historically I don't doubt, maybe in Korea or something, much more likely, but anyway. Upham? Upham, I need you to be a Johnny on the spot with a 30 cal. Wait, we're doing an SVT-40 video. So obviously we shot the guns at the camera to see what the report was like. That was from more a downrange angle. I would say that you would probably even pick them up a little bit differently and have an ear for it if, say, you know, there was a unit off to a certain angle shooting, maybe not directly at you, but you could probably identify that pretty quick. You would probably pick it up. I would say there's always a risk to running the enemy's weapons amongst your buds, because not only do you have that skill of identifying the report of an enemy weapon, so do your buddies and so do the enemy. So, I mean, the enemy may think you're friendly, but your own guys may not think that you're on the same team and start shooting in your direction, which could be a risk, you know? That could be a plausible risk. All of a sudden, you're trying to shoot at some Soviets and then you start getting buzzed by an MG42. Not ideal, not fun. MG42 is scary. I don't want to get melted by 8mm Mauser. Well, it's not my problem because I can't go back in time, but in theory, I should have joined the Luftwaffe. I'd at least be dead by now. I should have joined a Panzer division just to get to sit wherever I go. Now, of course, this SVT-40 is pretty cool, pretty neat, but it's not mine. It belongs to a dear friend of the channel. You guys haven't actually seen it in a bit. Maybe you even forgot he exists, but he's near and dear to my heart. Nick, get over here.
How are you, brother?
Good to have you back. All right, we got your SVT-40 here.
Yes.
This is your rifle.
Yes.
Now that we got the facts out of the way, what can you tell me about this bad boy?
Well, this is a very unique one. Obviously, it is all matching because it is a Bulgarian import from Canada. Unique to the Bulgarians, put the serial number vertical on the stock. The Russians already had the same serial number horizontal, so why they did that is anybody's guess, but all serial numbers match on this gun. It is a 1943 Tula. Now, having said that, the magazine does not match. I don't know of anyone who has a matching magazine to their SVT-40. It is a period sling, and it was ahead of its time, but it was interesting. The Soviets, of course, had the Mosin 9130, which they issued to troops by the millions, and they decided they needed a semi-automatic rifle. And then slightly into production, they decided that it cost too much, and we're better off just going back to the Mosin, which is what they did. It's a beautiful piece of Soviet craftsmanship. Watch out for the Sturmovix.
Shizer. Okay, you're telling me you made another 60-ton tank that gets stuck in the mud. Can we just get some more Panzer IVs, please, for the love of God? I am tired of eating potatoes. Please, for the love of God, can we get some better rations? My cousin Hans on the Western Front, he says it's way less scary. Now, real quick on the controls, very simple. You really only got like 2 things going on to get the gun, well, 3 things to get the gun to function. You got your safety, you got your mag release right here. Safety is, I'm gonna say the word, dude, ambidextrous. I like to add the "ius" to ambidextrous. Everyone always comments about that, but I like it for me. It's good engagement bait, I guess. And then of course your charging handle. You of course can manipulate the irons, yada, 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 do that stuff. The gun is simple, designed for Russian peasants, so not a lot going on, but there's kind of like a common trend there with a lot of the battle rifles of World War II. When I say a lot, the other 2, where it's like you got a safety, mag release, safety, no mag release, and then you charge the gun and you're good to go. The iron sights, I will say, very simple, tried and true, very of that Soviet style that everyone kind of thinks of It's like, oh, Soviet iron sights, slide forward. Gewehr's kind of like that. We got the M1, we get a little more dials, get a little bit more windage. I like that for us. Some American pride coming in. It's kind of neat. Gun seems to be the longest of the three, overall length. So in case you're trying to fit through doorways, maybe you turn the gun, more appropriate way. Life pro tip, you're welcome. Doing you a solid. Cool little thing is the retained little cleaning rod down here. So there's a button on the bayonet lug that you have to push in, you're able to pull her on out, and then you're good to go. And then to put it back in, get it in the hole, refrain from making any jokes, push the button, she's back in. Nice and greasy. Now, unlike the other two battle rifles of World War II, we don't have anything going on in the butt right here. And typically you'll see like M1 or the Gewehr where you have some space for a cleaning kit. I kind of like that, demerit for the SVT. I mean, they probably don't clean their weapons because their life expectancy is pretty short. It's the next guy's problem to clean it after you die. Sorry, Commissar friends. I do enjoy the distinct look of the front forend. You have these slots going on. It makes for a nice cheese grate. And I do like when a weapon comes together where you can pair lethality with some aesthetics. I know we're making a video on the SVT-40, but if this video gets just 1 like, I'll make a video on the big 3 battle rifles of World War II. Even though Ian McCollum kind of beat me to it, I still want my shot in the sun. The SKS, but on steroids. Overall, I will say it's a very interesting weapon. It's, of course, aesthetically pleasing. Got to give it to the Soviets when they do it right. At least they got it right in the sense of this weapon. It is a cool thought to think about the time capsule in history. And one of the reasons I kind of like this style of video that we film with all the LARP gear, trying to immerse yourself a little bit into what soldiers may have been wearing and using, is because it kind of paints a picture and a little bit more detail to the context of history. You learn about history in school, you maybe watch your favorite YouTubers talk about history, but when you get the chance to actually piece some of these things together, the more interpersonal aspects, the kit, the clothing, the weaponry, how it all ties together, it becomes a little bit more vivid and it becomes a little bit more, you can taste it. You can smell it. Maybe not through the screen, but I don't want you to try and taste the screen. If you try that, I'm worried about you.
The snozberries taste like snozberries.
But you get an idea for it. And it's really cool to me because history is such an important topic. It's the reason the world is the way it is that you're living in right now, because some Germans and Russians were fighting each other on the Eastern Front, and now you can't import a Hilux. It all kind of domino effects down the road. It makes sense if you think about it, right? Right. Thank you, guys. Nothing. Tough crowd. As someone that does play a lot of Hell Let Loose, this was pretty fun to get out and use a gun that I've used before in the game. I've shot a lot of guns, and sometimes I'm still chasing that rabbit of different guns that I haven't shot, and the SVT-40 was actually one of those guns. This is one of my first times getting out and shooting it, getting a feel for it. Of course, isn't gonna be like a standard tactical YouTube video, 5,000 round count burn down review on the SVT-40. No, we're just showing it off for the sake of history, because to me, it's cool, and I think you guys will enjoy it. Gentlemen, I got nothing else for you. Thanks for stopping by, watching the video. If you want to support the channel, I don't know, buy a shirt or something, and tell your mom I said hi. Got nothing else for you. Godspeed.